All right, let's dive into a story about a world where perfection, well, it came with a pretty steep price. This is a story about a game people loved, a game pushed to the very edge by flawless machines, and the incredible battle to get its human spirit back.
And boom. Just like that, with one single sentence, everything changed. It was a moment that basically split the history of the sport in two. There was the time before and the time after. So, what happened?
To really get it, you've got to rewind a bit. You have to think about the world before all this went down. A world where football was, kind of wild. It was unpredictable and exciting, because it was played by humans. And humans, well, we're not perfect.
So in this old world, people started looking at human instinct a little differently. A player takes a shot, well, there's a 76% chance they'll miss. A bold, game-changing play, that has a 50% chance of just completely failing. These moments of potential magic were suddenly seen as liabilities. The game was called reckless, too risky. And the problem? The players were only human.
And that one thought, that one little question, it changed everything. What if you could just get rid of human error? What if you could engineer perfection?
And right on cue, a company called Perfect Inc. shows up with the answer. Their mission was pretty seductive, really. Create the future of football. They built these clones, perfectly calculated, flawless athletes who made the exact right decision every single time. Their whole philosophy was simple. Get rid of risk and you guarantee results. And you know the most chilling part? They claimed this is what the public wanted all along. A nice, clean, predictable win. Every single time. But there was a catch. This perfect world had a pretty devastating side effect. See, when you take away risk, when you remove the chance of failure, what happens to the heart of the game?
So what about the originals? The human icons who built the sport with their blood, sweat, and their mistakes. In this new, perfect world, the attitude was just, who cares? They were tossed aside like relics from an imperfect past.
The very thing that was supposed to perfect the game was actually destroying it from the inside out. The passion, the drama, the soul, it was all just being choked out by cold, hard calculation. The clones weren't playing football, they were just running a program.
And this is what the fight really boiled down to. On one side, you have the originals, who believed in risking everything. On the other, the clones, who risked nothing. The originals played like it was a game, for fun. The clones played it like a job. It was human versus flawless. So, faced with a world that had forgotten them, in a sport that was literally losing its soul, the originals knew they couldn't just sit on the sidelines anymore. They had to do something. They had to make a stand.
That was the rallying cry. Simple, powerful. They were united against the architects of perfection. It was time to fight for the game they loved, not with flawless calculations, but with the very human spirit that had been thrown away.
Their whole comeback plan wasn't about learning new tricks. Nope. It was about remembering who they were at their core. Their creed, their belief system, was built on everything Perfect Inc. had tried to erase, taking risks, playing with freedom, and being willing to risk it all to win it all.
But look, you could imagine the doubt, right? I mean, how are a bunch of flawed humans supposed to take down perfect machines? Someone had to give them that belief, that reminder that the unbeatable can, in fact, be beaten.
So they did the only thing they could think of. They issued a challenge. One final, winner-takes-all showdown to decide the future of football once and for all. The stage was set for the biggest match the planet had ever seen. And the stakes? They couldn't have been higher. This was not just another game. It was sudden death. Winner takes all. And the loser? The loser has to quit football. Forever. The entire legacy of the human game was on the line.
Every screen, every person on the planet was watching this one event. It was way more than just a match. It was like a vote on what we wanted sports, and maybe even humanity, to be.
And, as if the pressure wasn't enough, the rules were absolutely brutal. First goal wins. That's it. One moment of magic or one tiny mistake would decide everything. Think about that. No room for error. No time for a comeback. One shot. No second chance. The weight of their entire world was resting on just a single moment.
So that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? How can human intuition, with all of its flaws and all of its risks, ever hope to beat a perfect, flawless calculation? How does imperfection beat perfection? In the end, this whole story kind of forces us to ask ourselves,
What if the original's greatest strength was the very thing everyone called their biggest weakness, their willingness to risk it all? It suggests that when you're up against calculated perfection, maybe the most dangerous thing you can possibly do is play it safe. What do you think?